Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the College of Medicine, Phoenix on a beautiful morning. This is the Gold Humanism Induction ceremony, and it recognizes how important the principles of humanism and professionalism are to our mission of educating exceptional physicians to serve our community. Today, we recognize 4 outstanding faculty and 12 outstanding students. These individuals have been selected by their peers as exemplars of the principles of humanism and professionalism. We're also fortunate to have the 2021 Gold Humanism Award winners present these honors. I want to acknowledge those outstanding students who are now nearly physicians. It's very short from now. Who were honored last year, unfortunately, only in a virtual ceremony. But the awards were nevertheless just as significant. Induction into the Gold Humanism Honor Society is an acknowledgement from fellow students and faculty that you are a model of society's values at the highest levels in the areas of compassion, humanism, service, and professionalism. The Honor Society defines humanism as keeping relationships between physicians and their patients as respectful and compassionate as possible. Humanism is reflected in behavior. Physicians that honor and respect the diversity of people of varied backgrounds, experiences, and values. In this spirit, we induct these exceptional students and faculty members as lifelong members of the Gold Humanism Honor Society. And to start today's ceremony, I'm going to introduce Dr. Susan Kaib, who will lead the ceremony. Susan?
Thank you, Dean Reed. And I also, we're going to have a couple different faces up here as we're going through the induction ceremony. I want to mention Dr. Daniel Drain. He's the liaison here for our Gold Humanism Honor Society, and Dr. Shaq Raymond. And I want to bring up now, thank you. I want to go ahead and invite Cece and Andrea Fernandez to come up.
Sorry. The staff of Asclepius, the son of Apollo, and a practitioner of medicine in ancient Greek mythology, accompanied by a single snake. It has long been a symbol of medical practice and appears on the logo of many prominent medical organizations, including the Association of American Medical Colleges, the American Medical Association, and the American Medical Student Association, to name just a few. It is often confused with the caduceus, which is a staff with a double snake, and ironically is associated with gamblers, liars, and thieves. This walking stick or staff was a gift from the inaugural GHHS class of 2011 students to the College of Medicine, Phoenix, which they hope would be used for future GHHS inductions. This particular staff is made from a yucca stock native to our desert landscape and symbolizing the strength and solidarity of our campus community. The ribbons tied to the staff were initially tied by the class of 2011 and every subsequent class of GHHS inductees and symbolize a single serpent, which in Native American tradition is strongly associated with healing capacities.
Meaning is the antecedent of commitment, and the original meaning of our work as physicians is service. Service is not a relationship between an expert and a problem. It is a human relationship, a work of the heart and the soul. Restoring a sense of service to the practice of medicine will lead us to re-examine the process by which we become physicians. Meaning is a human need. It strengthens us not by numbing our pain or distracting us from our problems or even by comforting us. It heals us by reminding us of our integrity, who we are, and what we stand for. It offers us a place from which to meet the challenges of life. Part of our responsibility as professionals is to fight for our sense of meaning against fatigue and numbness, overwork, and unreasonable expectations, to find ways to strengthen it in ourselves and in each other, from recapturing the soul of medicine.
Thank you, ladies. And just to explain a little bit, so when we call the students up that are being inducted, what will happen is one will go to the staff and tie a knot into it. And this class has picked the purple ribbon. So each year when the class gets inducted, we add another ribbon to the staff. So this goes back to 2011 when we originally had the staff made by Dr. Silverman. And then they'll move on to the table and get their Gold Humanism pin. Next, I'd like to move on to our speaker. And so the students actually select the speaker for the Gold Humanism induction. And this year, I'm very pleased that they selected Dr. Jennifer Hartmark Hill. And Dr. Hartmark Hill, she's a busy lady. So I'm going to look down a little bit, but she has, she's the director of 3 different programs here at our college. She's the director of the U of Arizona Faculty Development Fellowship, the Program for Narrative Medicine and Health Humanities, Patient-Centered Care Curriculum. She's also a Gold Humanism Award recipient, mainly for her care for the vulnerable population she serves, as well as the work she does with our students. She chairs the Public Health Committee for ARMA, the Arizona Medical Association, serves on the Executive Committee and Board of Directors for the Arizona Partnership for Immunization, as well as the Board of Directors for Southwest Behavioral and Health. She holds leadership roles in national organizations, including the Society of Teachers in Family Medicine. When she's not at work, that doesn't leave her much time, but she loves to hike, take care of her 3 dogs, hang out with her husband, Scott, or garden and orcharding. That's a new verb. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jennifer Hartmark Hill.
Thank you, Dr. Kaib, Dr. Raymond, and thank you, class of 2022 and faculty inductees. I am so proud of you all. It brings me great joy to share in this moment in our journeys together, to be here with our campus, our community, and our loved ones, to honor you and the work you are doing. Your work and your influence, that is to say, your leadership, has rightly been recognized as holding up the highest ideals of humanism. So when I think about what humanism is, the first, the last, and most enduring thought that comes to mind is love. Humanism is love. Love of humanity, love of family and community and healing connectedness. Not just love in concept, but love in action. Not just empathy, but empathy in action, which is compassion. Not just compassion for others, but self-compassion in recognition of your own worthiness to be loved as a member of the human family. We'll come back to that. But first, I wanted to share with you a story. The story that's most been on my mind of all the stories I could tell is not only my story to tell, and it's not done being written yet, not by a long shot. That's because this story is your story and all of our stories, the stories of what we have gone through as a global human family over the past 1.5 years. It's all the stories of what we have endured and overcome together here as a campus and a community. It's the stories of how, in the face of global tragedy, you all showed love and compassion to those around you who were suffering and suffering the most, how you held each other up, and how you reached out beyond your comfort zones to bring hope to those who were facing daunting health inequities. How you gathered and flew supplies and support and hope to our friends and neighbors in the Navajo Dene Nation and surrounding areas. It's how you stood up for what is right, marched in solidarity, showed love to our communities who are hurting and who so need justice, love, and healing right now. You've cared for those experiencing homelessness, taught classes to those suffering from addiction, and shared so many more acts of humanism and love. We'll hear more about your stories and heroism later as part of the ceremony. So I will pause there in suspense until then, and instead take a moment to reflect more broadly on the journeys that have brought us to this place. In the field of narrative medicine, we talk about the universal construct of the hero's journey. The protagonist of the story, the hero, leaves the familiar to venture out into the unknown and into uncertainty. The hero faces seemingly insurmountable challenges, including a lot of self-doubt along the way. The hero has setbacks, but perseveres, gaining new insights and strengths. Eventually, the hero returns home or to the place where they started, but the hero is forever changed. The hero's journey is classically embodied by Odysseus in Homer's The Iliad and the Odyssey. The hero's journey is also strongly reflected in the transformations of characters like Luke Skywalker and Rey. Before the pandemic, before global communities hailed healthcare professionals as heroes, you were all already on your own hero's journey. You left the familiar and the status quo. You left the easy path behind. You saw human suffering and did not turn away. You allowed yourself to be moved by empathy and moved to acts of compassion. Here, I need to reflect a little more in depth about the phenomenon of compassion. Given all that we have gone through together in the recent era, compassion has taken on a new meaning for me. This is not just because of the tremendous amount of scientific research that shows that compassion makes a real difference in outcomes like pain and other physiologic measures for our patients. Not just because of all of the evidence that compassion, when applied to the care of patients, results in better outcomes overall. It's because of what we've been through together. The French and Latin etymology of the word compassion is passion, meaning suffering, and the com part of compassion means with. So literally, compassion means suffering with. Never has this been so true for the entire planet. We have been suffering together, and we are in need of quite a bit of compassion right now. We feel empathy with others' suffering and are moved to action, compassion. Similarly, self-compassion is when we recognize our own suffering in the shared context of the human condition. We must learn to be kinder and more loving to ourselves as we accept our imperfections while simultaneously striving for excellence and continuous improvement. Self-compassion, I believe, is a necessary ingredient to maintaining authentic and sustainable compassion for those around us. Self-compassion enables us to see ourselves with more wholeness and grace, to act in a way that honors our humanity. It allows us to turn away from the siren songs of shame and the imposter syndrome to continue forward in our journey of humanism and compassion and love. So back to our hero's journey paradigm and a few thoughts on who you are and what it is to be a hero. I think to be a hero, it isn't all about being selfless or self-sacrificing. It is not to take the weight of the world on your shoulders, but rather to be faithful to the opportunities before you. I think it is to bravely take that journey into the unknown, one step at a time, to face uncertainty, possible failure, to persevere, to find and develop your strengths, to lift up your voice, and to empower others to do the same. I think to be a hero is to be a humanist who acts out of love for humanity by meeting people where they are without judgment. It is to be willing to bear witness to suffering, to mobilize compassion through acts of service, acts of listening, acts of human kindness, and love. It is to face the journey every single day by caring for yourself so that you can continue forward. It is to courageously embrace a growth mindset in the face of failure and adversity so that you can do even better by others and stay true to your values at the next opportunity. Ahead lies the opportunity to continue to show up, to be present, and to invest in other human beings. We show up and we invest in other human beings. We don't always see the return on investment, but we keep showing up. We have faith, we have love. We commit to acts of humanism in medicine, in our lives as individuals, and as citizens of the human family. Ahead lies transformation. Ahead lies a more just and loving world. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hartmark-Hill. Always so genuine and kind and compassionate. So not a surprise that you're standing here today. Thank you so much. With that, I have the honor to introduce the students. And before that, can I have Dr. Kibe, Dr. Ryman, and Kelly Lynch take their places? With that, in this ceremony, it's a little bit untraditional in the sense that we actually have the students introduce themselves because they know each other so well and have worked together these past 3 years, soon to be 4. And so with that, I will go ahead and call the pair of students up one by one to carry on the ceremony. The first pair I have is Amanda Tetro and Maya Patel.
Good morning. I'm super excited to get to introduce this individual. There's a statistic out there that says that physicians interrupt their patients after an average of 11 seconds. A sad number, but probably not too shocking when you really think about it. As our world today has technology which continues to connect us with faraway places, ideas, and people, it's all too easy to forget about the ones right in front of us. But I know that this individual could never and would never do that. I live with her, and we often tease her that she could probably have a full conversation with a wall. She has this very special way of connecting with every human she meets and making everyone feel like they are the most important person in the room. Maybe it's the way her big eyes drown you in love, or it's the kindness that overflows in her voice. Maybe the warmth that she just exudes. Whatever it may be, a conversation with her leaves you feeling empowered, understood, and most importantly, heard. Over the past few years, she's worn quite a few different hats here. Some of them include class rep, interest group leader, CHIP program leader, and Dominican Republic medical mission trip volunteer. From admin meetings after long days at the hospital to using her Spanglish to teach a mom how to give her baby Tylenol. She makes every effort to be there for others and to amplify their voices. Her commitment to others and compassion never ceased to amaze me, and I'm incredibly privileged to have had her by my side over these past few years. And I'm also very glad I get to brag about her to you all today. It is my great pleasure to introduce my in-home eyebrow stylist, my Sunday football buddy, my best friend, future Dr. Maya Patel.
It is now my honor to introduce one of my best friends, Amanda Tetro. When I think of all of the qualities that GHH represents, I cannot think of a better fit for this society than Amanda. While Amanda has contributed her time and energy to a variety of roles on campus, including co-leader of the OBGYN and PEDS interest groups, coordinator of the New Hope Teen Pregnancy CHIP program, member of the Service and Community COD, and executive board member of the Student Ambassadors Planning Committee, among others, her dedication to helping others extends well beyond these campus grounds. Amanda has the unique ability to make anyone, from her close loved ones to complete strangers, feel equally supported, cared for, and heard. Whether that person is me, running into her room to vent when I've come home from a long day, or whether it's one of her patients grappling with the stressors of being a new mom and just needing someone to talk to, Amanda is always there to lend an ear and provide sound advice. I lovingly like to call her the mom of our friend group. She is one of our biggest cheerleaders when we accomplish something. When we need a pick-me-up, she channels her creativity in the kitchen, whipping up a variety of baked goods. She almost single-handedly plans fun road trips or adventures when she senses that we all need a little break, complete with the detailed and aesthetically pleasing itinerary, hour by hour, documenting what we will do. Explaining all the ways that Amanda embodies humanism and empathy in 1 to 2 minutes is an impossible task. But as someone who has been lucky enough to call her a close friend for the past few years, I can say from experience that she touches the life of every single person she comes into contact with. Congratulations, Amanda. You are incredibly deserving, and I can't wait to see the way you continue to channel that compassion into patient care in the future.
Our next student pair will be Michelle Peterson and Marion Dawson.
I'm not really sure how we're supposed to go after that, but I'll try my best. So today I have the pleasure of introducing a colleague that I've worked really closely with over the past 3 years. We've been through a lot together. We made it through starting the first primary care COD on our campus. We hosted the first advocacy forum together. We made a killer family medicine interest group week. And we even survived a weekend in Boston with Dr. Marvasti and Dr. Serarian, which was pretty fun. Not only have we done a lot together, but they've done a lot on their own as well. They are a trailblazer, and I know this because they co-founded the Harm Reduction Alliance. They're exceptionally intelligent, and I know this because they tutored the class of 2023. They are exceedingly dedicated to their future patients, and I know this because they received a scholarship to practice full spectrum family medicine. They are truly caring, and I know this because I've leaned on their shoulder before. I'm so excited to see what your future looks like, and I can't wait to practice medicine together. Your patients are going to be so thankful to have an advocate, a friend, and a physician like you in their lives. I'd like to introduce Michelle Peterson.
Well, that was lovely. I'm happy to have the pleasure of introducing Marion Dawson, who has also been my colleague over the last few years. Marion, as she said, is a fellow primary care scholar and a fellow family medicine interest group leader. Marion served as a panelist on our first ever primary care forum among politicians and healthcare leaders and advocated for students. She also dedicated her time to AZ K-8 STEAM Academy volunteering, which created online resources for kids during COVID to help them learn STEM at home. Marion is interested in using her public health and medical degree to practice full spectrum medicine in a family medicine in a community center for underserved patients. She's a prime example of a golden human because she continuously pushes herself and encourages herself and her classmates to step out of their comfort zone, speak up, and advocate for each other. She's a natural leader, and her ideas reflect the compassion that she feels for her patients. Her genuine, kind, and quirky nature lend themselves to forming the kind of quality relationships that are so important in primary care, and I look forward to working with her in the future.
Our next student pair is going to be Mary Beth Putz and Janelle Tully.
All right, these are getting harder and harder to follow, but I'll do my best. It is an honor for me to have this opportunity to introduce to you our next inductee. I remember meeting her before the start of medical school after a second look event. We were both on the phones with our moms, and we were at a local vegan ice cream shop that would become our favorite place to celebrate our successes and to debrief the hard days. I would later learn that our mutual love for vegan ice cream and coexisting lactose intolerance would be some of the reasons why she'd asked me to be her roommate. This has given me the opportunity to get to know her over these past 2.5 years, not only as a classmate and future colleague, but also as a close friend and arguably my cat's favorite person to snuggle with. Every day, she embodies the meaning of this award. We joke that I have a toddler in the form of my very large and very needy cat, and that I'm her toddler. Because since the start of school, I will sit on her bedroom floor every night. And for those who know me know that I can talk a lot, but she always listens. She always offers gentle, thoughtful advice. and it is clear how deeply she cares for others. Before medical school, she moved to New Mexico, far away from family, where she knew no one, and spent long hours working for free to provide healthcare to those in an underserved population. When she talks about this experience, her eyes light up, and you can tell how much love her heart has. Then in medical school, during arguably one of the most challenging times as we try to balance anatomy and learning an absorbent amount of information from material in class, she started a life-saving CHIP program where she would offer education to those suffering with opioid addiction and offer training and access to the materials needed to administer Narcan. But I know one of her biggest dreams that she shared with me is being a pediatrician, working with some of our most vulnerable kiddos, children who've had the odds stacked against them from the very start. She listens to them, she empowers them, and she treats them with love and with patience. We are so lucky to have her in medicine, and I feel incredibly lucky to call her one of my closest friends. I introduce to you Mary Beth Putz.
One moment. All right. Well, I now have the incredible honor of introducing Janelle Tully. As she said, we have been roommates all throughout medical school, and she has been one of the most important support systems, sounding boards, shoulders to cry on, and fellow dairy-free ice cream lover throughout our entire medical school journey. I think you'll see some common themes between what we both say here today. From late night library sessions and to doing photo shoots with her cat Denver because we don't want to study anymore. We've really been through it all. She always has my back no matter what embarrassing things I may do. Like this one time when we were at that ice cream shop, I accidentally dropped like 100 napkins on the ground. I'm in full panic mode, but Janelle, even though she says she's my toddler, she goes into mom mode, holds out her big parka jacket. We just kind of tuck them in and go like nothing happened. And the story just sums up Janelle perfectly. She can roll with the punches. She fiercely protects those that she cares about, and she can make the good out of any situation. While in medical school, Janelle has shown us her caring and compassionate heart. As a CHIP leader, Sim Center leader, and a peer tutor, she has given us all of those gifts she has to share with us, her leadership, her knowledge, her compassion. She also helped coordinate amazingly large donations of PPE to the Navajo Nation this past year during COVID when they were at their peak cases. It really just exemplifies who Janelle is. She's truly an amazing friend and classmate, and I am so excited and honored to one day be her colleague in medicine. I know that you will be an amazing support for your patients, and they are going to be so lucky to have you. Janelle Tully.
I'd like to introduce our next student pair, Alan Dewan and Ali Tukan.
All right, xin chào. I'm so excited to introduce our next inductee because I get to tell an embarrassing story about them. I'm just joking. But the first time I met this person, I thought to myself, wow, she really has the art of making a great first impression down. Because if I were to say the word appendicitis on the first day of medical school, I think we will instantly know who we're talking about. But aside from the first great impression and technically being our first CBI case, she continues to amaze us all. From demonstrating her leadership skills in student government, to her involvement in global health in the Dominican Republic, to her passionate dedication to community service, it is no surprise that she's being recognized today. Her uplifting spirit and warm smile can comfort you in the most troubling days. It is without a doubt that she would do the same for her patients. She is a wonderful person to get to know, a fantastic doctor to be, and more importantly, an incredible friend to have. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Ali Toucan.
Hi, I have the honor of introducing Alan Dewan. He is my friend, confidant, and one of the most charismatic people that I know. As he mentioned, I did have appendicitis at the beginning of school, so those first days are a little hazy in the post-anesthesia period. But even though I don't remember specifically when I met Alan, he makes me feel like we've been best friends forever. Whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed, Alan is someone that I can always turn to talk. He's a shoulder that I can lean on when I'm feeling down, and just talking with him always makes me feel better. He has a way of making me laugh, sometimes even just making eye contact with him, and I'll burst out laughing, the best kind that just makes your sides ache and leaves a smile on your face. I know that anyone who's interacted with Alan will agree that when you're talking with him, he makes you feel like you are the most important person in the room. He brings out the best in others when they can't necessarily see it themselves, and I know this firsthand from being his friend. Alan pours his heart into humanity and really embodies this compassion for humanity that Dr. Hartmark Hill spoke about. One example of this is when he spearheaded a medical student community to support the Black Lives Matter movement. These are just a few of the countless reasons why Alan is so deserving as an inductee to the Gold Humanism Honor Society, and why we are all so lucky to consider ourselves his friend. Welcome to Alan Dewan.
The next student pair is Ahmed El-Attar and Luke Wolford.
Hi, everyone. I have the honor of introducing Ahmed El-Attar. We were recommended to tell a story about the person we're introducing, but I would venture a guess that everybody in the crowd has a story about how Ahmed has helped him. He's a fierce fighter for everyone in our class and someone we all go to for advice. We've watched him truly shine in the role as a curriculum committee member, and his advocacy will have impacts on all future classes. But more than that, Ahmed has always been someone I can go to with anything. He'll meet either a mini mental breakdown or just a simple question about a UWorld problem with the same intensity and problem-solving demeanor. He devotes his full focus to any problem, and he'll drop anything to help someone who needs it. I know that he'll be getting a few phone calls from me in my future career whenever I encounter a tricky problem, and I'll always appreciate that. So thanks for everything, buddy. And I can't think of anyone more deserving for this honor. So welcome, Ahmed El-Attar.
Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to be introducing Luke Wolford as a fellow inductee of the Gold Humanism Honor Society. Given the time constraints, I'll be skipping over his long list of achievements. There are too many to count. In short, when Luke is involved, work gets done. Whether he is studying, teaching, leading, or organizing, he is focused, disciplined, reliable, dependable, and above all, always completes his Anki. But among his many impressive traits, I'd like to highlight one that has had the greatest impact on me and likely his future patients, his communication. Luke has this incredible ability to meet people where they're at. He's able to listen, find the words that they need to hear at that moment. I'll spare you the stories of the emotional rants he's heard from me,
but I will confidently say that after only 3 years of medical school with Luke, that when he calls you from the ER with an admit or a consult, you know that you already have some big shoes to fill. Ladies and gentlemen, Luke Wolford.
And I'll invite our final student pair, Christina Yancey and Dara Farhadi.
All right. Hello, everyone. So mine is a little bit longer, and I'm sorry about that. Let me just get this mask off somehow. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. All right. So I don't know exactly when or where I met Christina Yancey, but I do know in these 3 years I've gotten to know her. Even knowing her in this short time, I wish I had more than just a minute or two, and I probably will use more than just a minute or two, so I'm sorry. So I'll do my best, but I wanted everyone to know that she has had quite a remarkable and inspiring story prior to med school. And I'll talk a little bit about med school, her time here in med school. But if you ever have time with her, you should ask her about the things that she did before med school, because they're pretty inspiring. And it's a privilege chatting with her anyway. So Christina is certainly someone I'm very proud of to have as a colleague. She's someone who is incredibly deserving of this award. She has done a lot in these 3 years as well, and I'll just name a few. During COVID-19, when our lives were up in the air, and as medical students, we didn't know what was going on, and all of the schools were closed for K through 12. Christina actually volunteered to be a leader for the K through 12 kind of virtual education as part of our school's COVID Student Service Corps organization. And she clearly has a dedication to education for the youth, as she also volunteered as a pre-med mentor for undergraduate students and has done extensive work in outreach to education to encourage students, support students who are unrepresented in medicine in their pursuit of their medical career. And furthermore, logged 180 plus volunteer hours while working as a med student. I should also mention that she did all of this while raising her daughter, Zoe, who is now almost 9 years old. It's clear when you talk to Christina that Zoe is a big part of her life. And whenever I see her, I always try to, bring her up and ask how she's doing, mostly because it's really fun to hear how Christina and her daughter, how she grows up, and especially how similar they are. I guess an example, she's not here today because she's preparing for a lead role in a play that she has at her school. But I'm sure she's going to watch this later. From our conversations, you can tell Zoe has a huge interest in music, science, engineering, and maybe even computer science, and likely so much more that I probably lost count of. And it's clear from Christina's stories how hardworking her daughter is, intelligent and creative. And I mention all this because Christina is exactly the same. And I'm sure Zoe also has the same infectious personality that Christina has. And it makes her so good, so fun to be around. And Christina's never afraid to be honest, passionate, and just an affable person. And I'm sure Zoe is the same. I'm also guessing that when Zoe watches this, she'll feel kind of a sense of pride for her mother. I have my mom here too, and I remember when I was 4 years old, she graduated from undergrad at ASU, and I remember how big of a deal that was. And so I'm sure for Zoe, it'll be something similar for her as well. I wish I had more time to talk about Christina, and I will use up more of your time, and I apologize. But she has had a number of leadership roles at our school. She's been a staunch representative of our school, advocating for all of the med students. Her work as a writer and journalist for The Differential, our school newspaper, which she now is an editor-in-chief for. She wrote a story about a friend who was one of the first to have COVID-19, one of the first patients, and survived from it. And because of that story, it was picked up by CNN, and Anderson Cooper on his show, Anderson Cooper 360, talked about all of this and kind of, and she was the catalyst to amplify this story around the world. My short story about Christina is about just one single day in which we spent together. She was showing me the ropes of the trauma service. On our surgery rotations, if you weren't in trauma, you could spend 2 days on the trauma service. And so I decided to do it. And I remember feeling really nervous, really scared. When you hear the word trauma, you think action, you got to do stuff. And it can be pretty intimidating. But I was exceptionally relieved when I learned that Christina was going to be there with me. And she was on her trauma rotation. So she was like a seasoned veteran, knew what was going on. And you could tell she was basically acting like a first-year resident. And so it was really nice to kind of have her there, show me the ropes, and show me include me in things when I felt like I didn't know what was going on. And during all this time, you could tell she was super sympathetic, super compassionate in all her interactions, even the patients that maybe were a little rough around the edges. Christina never forgot to, be who she was, be there for the people that matter. And she, after all this, even found the time to explain a trauma code, explain things to me, and help me as I was fumbling around. And one moment we had a trauma come in, I believe it was the second one. It was a woman who burst through the doors, was just in a car accident, looked like she had serious injuries. I was shocked, but Christina was like, all right, let's do this. Let's, make sure she's okay. Let's be as helpful as we can. We ran through the trauma code together, Christina and I, as a team. We helped wherever we could. And once her injuries were kind of seen to be not life-threatening, another trauma came in and the whole team went over there. And once we saw that, okay, that trauma team's handling the other patient, Christina went back to this patient. And I kind of was just observing her because I didn't know what was going on. I was just, Christina, whatever Christina's doing, I'm going to follow her. This patient, she had a neck brace on. She had tears rolling down her face. She was under this bright light alone. And without any hesitation, Christina went over and she was just there for her patient. They spoke. She took the time to reassure her, care for her as a human being. She was consoling her, even collecting her jewelry, storing it in her bag so that it wouldn't be forgotten. And the whole time I was just watching, oddly enough, in her reassurance to the patient, I started feeling reassured as well. I don't know if she knew this, but unknowingly she was taking care of two people at the same time. And that just kind of speaks to Christina's personality. She's always there for people in any disposition. And towards the end, she asked the patient, she kind of got a sense. She said, do you want some time alone to yourself? And the patient said yes. And so she gave her the time and we continued on. Real quick, I want to mention a couple of things. There are a number of pressures that are placed on us on med students. Ones I don't need to mention right now, but Christina has an additional challenge of her to balance her medical school career and her family time. She's been more than capable to do the work of a busy medical student on top of being a superstar mom. And although I know she has had some soul searching and deciding what area of medicine she wanted to do, I know that whatever she ends up choosing and becoming, it's because she decided. It would never be because she can't or because somebody told her not to do something for one reason or another, because that's not Christina. I know she's going to be a great doctor no matter what she decides, and they will truly be lucky to have her. A last thought. Christina does what she does for the people who are most important. Like many of us, she does it for her patients. We do it a little bit for ourselves, but you can tell Christina also does it for additional reasons. For the next generation, for a better future, and above all, for her family, and most importantly, for her daughter, Zoe, who I know very soon will be accepting similar awards. And like me, she too has an incredible mom and role model who is willing to continue to accomplish big things. Christina Yancey, everybody. Sorry for the longs.
Wow. Thank you, Dara. Regrettably, my speech is not as long. Regrettably for me, I don't know for you, but it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Dara Farhadi. If you're just meeting him for the first time, you can see right off the bat how eloquent, genuine, and authentic he is. I'm going to start with a little bit of his accomplishments, and then I'd like to share a story with you that's also happened on our trauma rotation. So during our first year, we are tasked, our student volunteers are tasked with raising money for pediatric brain research. And Dara voluntarily chose to take the lead as fundraising chair and was able to raise over $10,000 for pediatric brain research. He also volunteered to run the COVID PPE supply team during the pandemic when it started last March. He developed new PPE methods and actually has a patent pending for an intubation box to protect ICU physicians and anesthesiologists when they're intubating patients to prevent any aerosolized, I think I said that wrong, of the virus. And he also collaborated with ASU's Biodesign Institute to print 3D PPE when we had this mass shortage, when so many of our physicians and frontline workers were wearing N95s for months without being able to get a new one. He also has been volunteering at Ryan House for years. I believe it predates him even starting med school here. He's done well over 200 hours. I don't think he calculated correctly because I'm sure it well exceeds that. And one of the things that I noticed, I attended an orientation at Ryan House as a volunteer myself. And when they found out what school I was from, they kept asking me, "Oh, do you know that handsome guy with the glasses?" And I'm like, "What? No, like, I don't know who you're talking about." And they're like, "Oh, he's great. We love him. The kids love him." And this lady is just going on and on and on. And I was like, "I already told you, I don't know who you're talking about." And fast forward on another occasion when I was there to volunteer and Dara was there as well. And she kind of pulled me to the side and gave me a couple elbows and she said, "That's him." I was like, "Oh, okay. But the thing about Dara is that when he speaks to you, and this seems to be a common theme among our humanism inductees, but you are the most important thing in that moment. You have his full attention and he takes his time and he makes you feel so incredibly valued as a person. And you could be talking about the most mundane things that, maybe he's not interested, I don't know, but he makes you feel that you and what you are saying is the most important thing in that moment. And there are very few people, I think, in this world that can give you that, especially in our digital age where, we're glued to our phones and social media. He is kind of a throwback to how people used to be before that. We worked on trauma together, as he mentioned. And one thing that I noticed is he is a suturing whiz. He is amazing at it. I was feeling very confident in my suturing skills, and we had trauma come in that, the patient had a lot of lacerations all over the head and on the face. And to us, we were kind of like, once we knew he was okay, it was an opportunity for us to get some suturing practice. So we kind of rushed over there to get started. And he really took the time actually to teach me how to suture better. And he didn't have to do that. It just kind of naturally came to him. And I was really impressed by that because sometimes when you're in an environment where you're both students and you're both kind of hustling to do the same task, there's an element of competition. But with Dara, there isn't. It's always together. It's always a collaboration, never a competition. He's served many roles on campus. He's been the president of the medical student government during first year. He's been editor-in-chief since our first year for the differential, and he's our fearless leader-in-chief now. I think you would be very hard-pressed to meet someone more compassionate, empathetic, and genuine. And I know in the future, if I have a family member or a patient that has a neurological problem, I know who to call. So ladies and gentlemen, Dara Farhadi.
All right, let's give another round of applause for our class of 2022 inductees. As soon as Dr. Ryman is finished with pinning the last student, I will have him approach the podium to introduce the faculty inductees.
Thank you, Dr. Drain. Are you guys enjoying the show? You know, Dr. Hartmark-Hill always impressed me today when she reminded all the things needed for love and compassion and kindness. I was thinking about our faculty inductees. They have all of that and plus one more. And that was also the quality of the inductees for class of 2022. And that quality is bravery. You know, these guys rose up because we were suggesting virtual, and they very respectfully, kindly, compassionately, and with love said, can we try doing in person? And I'm loving it. I don't know about you guys. But this is, after a very long time, I'm seeing an in-person ceremony. And this is the class of 2021 vision. And it all happened in the last 2.5 weeks. You should give them a very big round of applause. And next, my honor to present the faculty inductees, which are definitely great role models and inspiration for me also, all of them. They're super human beings, great doctors who are serving the state of Arizona and beyond. You would see their story that they're serving worldwide. So the first couple I'm gonna invite is Tanner Ellsworth, medical student Tanner Ellsworth, and Dr. Grimaldi to come to the stage. Tanner will introduce Dr. Grimaldi, and then I will pin them.
Good morning, everybody. I feel really lucky to be able to introduce Dr. Grimaldi because I feel like I can speak for myself and for the rest of my class when I say that she's one of those faculty members that 10, 20, 30 years in the future is going to continue to be kind of one of the faces of our medical school experience. By day, she is a cardiac intensivist at Primary Children's Hospital, where she has been heavily involved in resident and faculty education, as well as served in many positions of leadership in the fellowship program. But as students, we know her as the very brave block director of our pulmonary renal acid-base block, which everybody's laughing because that's hands down one of the most difficult blocks of our medical school experience. So she took impossible concepts like renal physiology and acid-base disorders and made them accessible to us in a way that very few could do, I think. It was that clarity and encouragement in teaching that made the cardiovascular ICU one of the most popular capstone experiences and one of the most popular options for our ICU rotation as fourth-year medical students. I remember being asked multiple times on my residency interviews, why did you choose to do that as a rotation? Most of our residents don't even choose that as a rotation. And my answer was always because we all love Dr. Grimaldi. As the site director for that rotation, she goes above and beyond her duties by providing student accessible research that we can actually understand and that helps us learn the physiology of the difficult congenital heart diseases. She's always supporting rotating students. I remember She came in even on a day that she wasn't scheduled to work just to support me and the other student as we did our research presentations and to just check in on us sometimes. And she's even developed a dynamic and new curriculum to accommodate student needs during the COVID-19 pandemic. She has a strong connection to our school where she served for many years as a career advisor in a formal position. But even after stepping away from that role, I know from personal experience that she helps students a lot, both in pediatrics and other specialties with academic advising and residency advising, and as well as writing countless letters of recommendation. We're very lucky to have had the opportunity to learn from Dr. Grimaldi both inside and outside of the hospital. And I feel very grateful for her teaching and encouragement along the way. She exemplifies so many of the characteristics I hope to carry forward as a future pediatrician and possible pediatric critical care doctor. So I hope you will join me in welcoming Dr. Grimaldi into the Gold Humanism Honor Society.
Thank you, Tanner. Very well done. Our next faculty awardee, and by the way, this class of 2022, you may have noticed their outstanding contribution throughout the last year, but this is the class who likes to break records. The first time ever in the history, they chose 4 faculty. Never done before. So the next time, I'm going to invite Annalisa Cox to present the award to Dr. Drain. Annalisa?
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to get to brag about Dr. Drain. So when you hear the name Dr. Drain, you immediately feel a sense of relief. Relief because you know you have someone who will listen and help guide you through whatever comes your way. Dr. Drain has played a massive role in student resident wellness, setting up a designated area for trainees to regroup, exercise, and relax. He has been a vital part of our student experience. He spent countless hours going through questions and concerns posed by class representatives from each class. He navigated the easy and very difficult task with the same amount of integrity and energy. His office doors are always open, which gave students and residents a place to vent and talk about steps towards being better wellness. He does not just get the job done, but he goes above and beyond to do it correctly and with compassion. He took time out of his already busy life to shadow students and residents to better understand what they go through and what their day-to-day looks like. How many people outside of medicine would voluntarily go and do hours and hours of rounding? Outside of his wellness work, Dr. Drain has been a key player in our match ceremonies on campus. And if you know anything about our match ceremonies on campus during non-COVID times, they are amazing. Even with all the crazy pandemic changes, he and the team work day in and day out to make it as special as possible for the 4th years this year. And wow, didn't they do a great job? Oh, but it doesn't stop there. Dr. Drain has been working countless hours on admissions teams, searching for some of the best future physicians available to us. He does not just look for how well a student can test or how good their grades are, but how compassionate they will be with their patients. How good of a communicator will that student be, and what they will do for the world is what Dr. Drain looks for. Dr. Drain has a keen eye for all of these characteristics and did a wonderful job choosing the best of the best for our campus and our community. Dr. Drain exemplifies everything every person in the world should reach for. We are so privileged to have such an amazing person always thinking about students and trainees' well-being. His love for our community, especially UA-Comp community, shines through with his commitment to wellness. He is truly a golden human.
Thank you, Annalisa Cox. And some of you may know that she's also doing the same thing, choosing the best and brightest and most kind and compassionate medical student as a stellar admission committee member. So thank you for your services for that. So next I invite fourth year student Jenna Kobolinski to introduce our faculty inductee, Dr. Beda.
Okay, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Dr. Beda to the Gold Humanism Honor Society today. Dr. Beda is a retired pediatric critical care specialist who practiced at Phoenix Children's Hospital and served as Division Chief of Critical Care Medicine for 35 years. He is chair and professor of the Department of Bioethics and Medical Humanism here at the University of Arizona College of Medicine, Phoenix, and also directs the Global Health Program. Dr. Beda has many accolades, but today I want to focus on why he is here being inducted into the Gold Humanism Honor Society. Dr. Beda has done incredible work for the global health community. He is the founder and medical director of Medical Mercy and Covenant Medicine Outreach, having traveled 6 to 8 times per year to care for children in over 20 countries. Since 2004, he has led over 55 medical trips to third world countries. He is a pilot and physician who does bush flying in Africa, taking his medical teams to isolated areas of Africa. He has dedicated his time providing care to all who need it and works to instill that compassion into others as well. What he has done for others across the globe is nothing short of amazing. Here at the UACOMP, we were first introduced to Dr. Beda as our ethics director. Teaching ethics is no small feat, as it can lead to polarizing discussions and some heated debate. However, Dr. Beda allowed us as future physicians to have these discussions and really look at topics from all sides of the spectrum. What has stood out to me the most personally about Dr. Beda is despite everyone having their own ethics, if any student had an ethical issue at a site or were put in a situation where they felt uncomfortable, they are always free to text Dr. Beda and they would have his support without any hesitation. It is rare to find that support in medicine, especially for medical students, as our concerns are often not of importance to many. It truly means a lot that they mean something to Dr. Beda. Finally, Dr. Beda has helped students explore their passions through writing, taking deeper dives into medical history, and researching important topics for scholarly projects such as illness in the Dominican Republic. Further, it was because of Dr. Beda advocating for a student that one student was actually able to attend the Dominican Republic Global Health Trip our year, who otherwise would not have been able to attend. And that was such an invaluable learning and giving opportunity for that student. Thank you for what you have done for your students, Dr. Beda. I have no hesitation in giving a final welcome to you to the Gold Humanism Honor Society.
And finally, I invite medical student Tori Prin to come and introduce our final awardee, Dr. Gina Touch Mercer.
Okay. So I have the huge privilege of welcoming Dr. Gina Touch Mercer to this year's Gold Humanism Honor Society. Dr. TM is an integral part of our school. As a licensed psychologist, she serves as our school's theme director for the behavioral and social sciences, helping us to integrate a more holistic approach to patient care, involving the psychological and social aspects of health into our biomedical training. From a student's perspective, she has helped us to learn how to discuss difficult news with patients and how to take care of ourselves as well when we are given this difficult task. She has been involved in our trainings of resiliency, helping us to develop our coping strategies and create time for wellness activities that enrich our lives and help us to be better and more present caregivers for our patients. She is also a faculty member in multiple departments, including the Family, Community, and Preventative Medicine, Psychiatry, and OBGYN departments. And she's continually finding ways to offer her expertise to help improve the lives of our students and our greater Phoenix community. She's consulting on a program which provides an intensive outpatient program for pregnant women in addiction recovery. And she's also the co-chair of our school's Beyond Adverse Childhood Experiences work group, which is helping to create a trauma-informed care training program for our students and faculty so that we can provide better care to improve the health of our patients through addressing their past traumas and stressors.
As a leader of the Adverse Childhood Experiences and Trauma-Informed Care Interest Group, I can attest to the support and time she has given to the work group and to our students. On a personal note, Dr. Touch has been a kind and welcoming face from our first encounter. I believe it was in my first year of medical school. She has provided continual support throughout the 4 years of medical school, and I know she will continue to positively impact many students to come. As someone I know I could go to at any time with any problem or worry, she's an ideal candidate to be inducted into this year's Gold Humanism Honor Society. Thank you for all you do, Dr. Touch Merced.
So those were so beautiful. And I always love this induction because it reminds me every single time the wonderful things you're doing. And for me, humanism is not just something natural that I don't ever have to think about. So these reminders every day of what you do is so helpful. Will all of the Gold Humanism faculty, new inductees, and graduating class of students, if you want to rise, we'll recite the oath. And Dr. Raymond and I will lead you in that. We're going to say it together. It's not going to be an echo, okay? All right. I pledge by all that I hold dear as a physician, I will care for my patients with compassion, respect, empathy, integrity, and clinical excellence. I will listen to my patients with my whole being. I will advocate for each patient as a unique individual. I will serve as a role model and mentor to promote humanism in healthcare. I will remember always the healing power of acts of caring. I will dedicate myself to joining with others to make healthcare optimal for all. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this last part is just the thank yous. I want to make sure, I'm going to look at my notes because I don't want to forget anyone because so many people went into making this so special. And I want to really thank the graduating class. You guys did not get an in-person induction, so I hope this felt a little bit like your induction also. Thank you to Dr. Reed, Hartmark Hill, Raymond, Kelly Lynch, who is quietly over there but put together all the gift bags. We have a lot of help over here with Adolfo Navarro, Chris Dietrich, Aaron Sheets, Frenberg, Beth Smith, Ryan, everyone. Did I forget anyone? Everyone who has helped out. Sun over there with a photographer and all of their teams. Thank you to our 12 honored students and faculty inductees, your family and friends for supporting you through this journey, because medical school is hard, residency is too. Cookies are always welcome in residency. So we really appreciate you. Thank you for joining us today and have a good afternoon. And thank you to everybody at home watching this. Oh, sorry.